What is up, guys? James Carter TV, and welcome to Q&A Saturday here at James Carter TV, where you guys ask the questions and I give you answers. But before we begin all that, I'm going to begin with a little opening monologue, and I'm going to ask you guys a question at the end of this monologue, and I want you guys to answer the question appropriately in the comment section below, please, because this is something that I'm wondering. It's really two main things on my opening monologue. First part isn't a question, it's just a statement. Man, Jim Harbaugh is great. I mean, he's a great football coach. For any of you guys that care about college football, I know a lot of you guys are strictly NFL fans, but even if you're just an NFL fan, you have to appreciate how good Jim Harbaugh is at coaching football. I mean, this guy is an absolute stud, an absolute animal, an absolute beast at coaching football. He has, in months' time, flipped this Michigan organization in about 7 months, 8 months, completely flipped them from an underwhelming, middle-of-the-road team, well, even less than middle of the road, I would argue, to being a national powerhouse. They absolutely shut out their past 3 opponents, and today they shut out the number 13 team in college football, Northwestern Wildcats, that have been playing really well this season. I cannot be more astounded by how well this football team is playing the Michigan Wolverines and how great Jim Harbaugh is at flipping a franchise. I understand with Stanford, it took him a couple years to get his feet wet, but he's perfected his craft. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers, let's not forget, he took that team, turned them into a 13-3 team, a Super Bowl threat, a couple of muffed punts from a Super Bowl appearance against the New England Patriots. I mean, this guy is absolutely fantastic, absolutely great. What a great football coach Jim Harbaugh is. Now, the second thing I want to discuss, I have a fascination when it comes to horrible teams in the NFL. I'm always wondering who's the worst team, who is going to get the first pick in the upcoming draft, because those of you that follow me during draft season, you know I'm a draft nut. I'll release 6 mock drafts, I'll release my big board, my quarterback rankings. I love the NFL draft, I love watching film, I love especially this draft, because this draft is a draft unlike ones we've had in the past where it is a defensive draft. Not in quite some time have we seen a draft like this that is so defensively stacked. When you have defensive linemen, you have safeties. Oh my God, safeties! Usually, it's rare to have a safety. It's really rare to have 2 first-round safeties. Right now, I think there's 3, and one Jalen Ramsey, who I think could really be one of the, I'm going to sound like Ron Jaworski in a second, he could really be the best safety ever. And I know, Jalen Ramsey, I'm so high on this kid. It's such a defensive draft. You have Robert Nkemdiche, you have DeForest Buckner, Vernon Hargreaves III, a lot of defensive players, 2 great offensive tackles, and Laramie Tunsil and Ronnie Stanley. The quarterbacks aren't great now, but they're plentiful. It's similar to 2014, where you had Teddy Bridgewater, Blake Bortles, Derek Carr, and Johnny Manziel. That's 4. Now, 3 of them went in the first round, one went early second. I think it's a similar sort of situation, although I do believe Jared Goff is a number 1, and he will go number 1 in this draft. Not one quarterback went number 1 in that 2014 draft. A quarterback will go number 1 in this draft. But you have Jared Goff at the top, and then you have a guy like Connor Cook, who we know he's good, but we have some questions about him. Cardale Jones, we really want him to be good, and Christian Hackenberg, we really want Hackenberg and Jones to be good because they have the biggest upside of all the quarterbacks that have come out for the past 4 years, honestly. Cardale Jones and Christian Hackenberg, in terms of physical tools, in terms of big arms, accuracy, well, not really accuracy, but in terms of big arms, really, they have the best arms to come out since Andrew Luck and maybe even beyond. So we want them to be great. So The quarterbacks are interesting. And I wonder, let me get to my big question. Who's the worst team in the NFL? Who do you think is most likely to end up getting the number one pick? Before this week, we would have said the Chicago Bears. We would have said the Bears, they're the worst team in the league. Well, they won last week in Oakland, and they're not that bad. Jay Cutler, although he does have his faults, he can lead you to 5 wins. And they still have Matt Forte, and they still have Alshon Jeffrey, who has not been playing. So once they get him back healthy, he'll be a threat. They got Pernell McPhee in the offseason. He's been playing really well for them. So the Bears still have plenty of pieces. So I'm going to go against them. I'm going to really consider the Houston Texans, who lost on Thursday Night Football to Matt Hasselbeck. They've been going down, and they went 2-14 just 2 years ago. Had a fraudulent year last year. I think this year is proving that they could once again get the number 1 overall pick and finally get to select a quarterback. We'll see about that. So I think that's my bet. But I have 2 teams that I need to look out for, and that is the Miami Dolphins, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the reason I'm looking out for these 2, yes, they have absolute talent. Yes, they're very talented rosters. But in 2015, you don't look at the rosters. Don't look at any of that. Don't look at what they did last year. In 2015, these teams have done nothing to suggest that they're a good team, except for when Philly went to New York and won. Okay, that was a nice game, and the Philly defense had a lot to do with that game. But besides that one game, these 2 teams have not done anything to suggest that they're a good football team, and they're a threat for the number 1 overall pick. Another team, the Jags, they'll get their wins here and there. The Bucks, I understand Jameis Winston's struggling right now, but you'll get your fair share of wins with him. So really, the Texans are my pick. Right now, the Browns, they're not that bad. They have their issues, but they're not that bad. I think it's the Texans. Who do you think is the most likely to get the number 1 pick? Comment down below. All right. Now let's talk about these questions that you guys asked me. And there are some difficult ones, some ones I really had to think about. First, Bender Rodriguez asks, in your opinion, who are the top 5 NFL teams? All right, as of right now, if I'm going to give you a little bit of JCTV power rankings, because I never really do power rankings. Number 1 is a team that I thought before the season wouldn't make it back to the Super Bowl. It is the New England Patriots. And right now they're playing great football. And, we already know who's going to be number 2 is the Packers. I'll just spoil it. The thing is, unlike the Packers, dude, they're blowing people out. they're blowing people out. It's not even close. They're making people look like jokes and embarrassments. It's bad. It's sacrilegious. I mean, it's horrible what the New England Patriots are doing to folks. So they had to be number 1. They have to be. Number 2, as I just said, the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is great, has yet to throw an interception, but they're not as dominant as the New England Patriots. Number 3, the Denver Broncos. I understand Peyton Manning isn't very good. Their running game is non-existent. Blah, blah, blah. I've seen the Seahawks win with this model for the past 2 years. Now, their running game was a lot better than the Broncos' running game is right now. But I think the Broncos' passing game is a lot better than the Seahawks' passing game has ever been. Really. So, I think the Broncos can win with this model. Great defense, best defense in the NFL. It's the best. And with that model and with a top 10 quarterback, dude, you're a really good team. Next team, we have the Atlanta Falcons. They're going to go 12-4. Now, talk of them going 16-0 is absolutely ridiculous. If you will allow me to pull up their schedule real quick, off the top of my head, I know next week they go to New Orleans. And I understand New Orleans has started off 1-3. But when you think about it, they've only lost 1 game that they should not have lost, and that was to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lost to the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona by 12. Yeah, they should have lost that game. And they lost to Carolina by 5 without Drew Brees. Yeah, they should have lost that game. But the Saints aren't a bad football team, and the Falcons, I think, will go there and lose right now. I need to see how the Saints look this week and how the Falcons look this week. But I think the Saints could upset there. But even then, the Falcons go to Tennessee. And I know you guys don't think much of Tennessee, but the Falcons, we know their defense isn't very good. And that's going to hold them susceptible to losses. They also have to go to 49ers. They also have to go to the Carolina Panthers, there are losses here. I say 12-4 right now, but regardless, that's still a very good record, and they're a very good offense, and because of that, they're going to be top 5, but talk of them going 16-0, they're not going 16-0, no way. All right, next team, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Yes, they started 2-2, but only one of these losses you could say, yeah, they shouldn't have lost that game, and that was at St. Louis. And they only lost by 3, and it was kind of fraudulent, kind of fake, kind of fluky. Give me the Seahawks, man. Their defense is still great, and they lost to Aaron Rodgers. Oh, boo-hoo. Everyone loses to Aaron Rodgers. They're still a very good football team. Now, why are they over the Cardinals? The Cardinals had a bad loss at home in Arizona to St. Louis. So when I compare those and I say, okay, the Seahawks lost to St. Louis, but it was in St. Louis and it was by 3 points, and the St. Louis needed punt returns and kick returns in order to do it, or the Cardinals that lost in Arizona to St. Louis and they just kind of lost. Yeah, I'm going to believe that the Seahawks are still a better team than the Cardinals at this moment. The Bengals aren't here, but they could be. If the Bengals beat the Seahawks, I will finally give respect to the Bengals, and I will finally put them in this top 5 ranking. But until they do, the Seahawks are number 5. Let's move on. Connor Johnson asks, who do you think are the top 5 quarterbacks of all time? This is a very difficult list for me, and I'm going to give a little bit of a preface, okay? You have to understand, I'm a young guy, okay? So I'm not going to include a lot of you guys, that a lot of the legends, the autograms, the Terry Bradshaws. I get the stories. People tell you the stories. You watch a little documentary. It's cute. It's nice. I get it. But this is my theory, okay? A lot of these guys, not really Terry Bradshaw. Bradshaw was fine, but specifically, the one that I'm going to get a lot of hate is Johnny Unitas, okay? I believe Johnny Unitas was great for his time period. He was like the first one to throw for 30 touchdowns, which today is, who cares? I understand there's a little bit of escalation in inflation, and I did account for that. But you also have to account for this. Back in 1960, which was when Johnny Unitas was playing, there's a certain color of people, black people, okay, that weren't fully integrated into the NFL. I think they made up for about 25% of the NFL, whereas today, that number is about 90, okay? The NFL had not completely integrated black players, and as we know today, black players are kind of good, and they're kind of necessary if you want to have a good defense or any of that, and, maybe I'm being, generalistic here. You're damn right I am. Because if you don't have a full talent pool, I can't trust that you were really that good. I mean, let's just be honest here. Johnny Unitas was just throwing a bunch of guys. The NFL had not reached its peak of talent level. The talent level wasn't that high. So because of that, I'm not having Johnny Unitas or autogram on this list. Now who do I have? Okay, let's start with number 5. We'll go reverse order. Number 5 is Brett Favre. Yes, I understand. Oh yeah, he throws a lot of interceptions, blah blah blah. Man, he was great. He threw a lot of touchdowns too. Don't forget about that. Over 508 touchdowns, I believe, was his official mark. Dude, that's great. I ended up winning a Super Bowl. That's good for his record too. He probably should have had more, and that's why he's not higher on this list. The interceptions, yeah, but he was a gunslinger, man. Brett Favre was a freaking gunslinger. I love that gunslinger mentality, and he makes this list. And by the way, some other snubs. Steve Young, he didn't have the longevity I would have liked. Sat his first 8 years, only really played consistently for 10. Not good enough for me. Anyone else that's really going to get me pain? No, maybe Troy Aikman, but I think we get it. Troy Aikman, he was nice, but, again with the longevity thing. Yeah, okay, let's move on with the list. Number 4, John Elway. Now, some of you may want to be number 1, and I get that. But really, I don't know how you can make an argument that he's better than the next 3 guys I'm going to make. Yes, he did win 2 Super Bowls, and one of the guys I have above him won 1. But who cares, man? John Elway won those Super Bowls. It's nice, yeah. Won those Super Bowls with a lot more talent than this guy. Well, I'd actually, it's really dicey. It's really close. Okay, I get it. It's really close. It's difficult. It's hard to make a top 5 quarterbacks list of all time. But I just like this next guy over John Elway. But John Elway is great. Number 3 is Peyton Manning. Now, I'm a Tennessee Titans fan, so if anyone should devalue or hate Peyton Manning more than me, please introduce him to me, because a Titans fan should hate Peyton Manning, but I respect the hell out of Peyton Manning, and I know the greatness of this guy. This guy is great, and I think he's better than John Elway. Yes, John Elway won another ring than he. Okay, that's fine. Give me Peyton Manning, who is the absolute sheriff, who I don't think anyone has understood the game better than Peyton Manning. Has anyone been so prepped that has been so manipulative at the line of scrimmage than Peyton Manning? If there has been, please introduce him to me. If there's anyone that's been more cerebral than Peyton Manning, please introduce him to me. He's number 3. Number 2. We know who number 1 and 2 are. You just don't know the order yet. Number 2 is Joe Montana. So, you know, you have a choice to make. Are you going to put Brady or are you going to put Montana? That's the choice you have to make. I went with Brady just because I think Montana had much more talent throughout his career than Tom Brady had. That's really it. And Montana's great. You know, he won his 4 rings. Tom Brady won his 4 rings too, and I think he did it with less talent. He only had Randy Moss for like 2 years and a half. You know, and absolutely exploded in 2007, man. And since then, he's been an absolute beast statistically. And, I mean, he's great, you know. So Tom Brady's number 1. Montana's number 2. No disrespect to either. Just give me Tom Brady. All right, so next question. This other question is from Connor Johnson as well. He asks, do you think the Broncos defense would be as good without Von Miller or DeMarcus Ware? I have an itch on my nose, on the outside of my nose, that I just cannot get rid of. Excuse me. All right, so no way. Okay, Von Miller he may not be your best defender. I mean, you can make an argument for Chris Harris Jr., but he's at least 1B. So without him, you'd be in trouble. And this is a funny question that you asked, because I'm sure you knew when you asked this. Von Miller's in a contract year, and I can't believe you guys have not extended him yet. You need to get on this, because yes, I do hate on the Texans for being nothing more than J.J. Watt. And I do believe that ultimately you need a quarterback, screw everyone else, especially on defense. But when you have a great defensive player, man, you got to keep him. And Von Miller is just great. I think maintaining this defense should be a big priority for John Elway as they transition out of the Peyton Manning era. And you need to do that by holding on to Von Miller. Now, DeMarcus Ware, he's having a hell of a season this year, man. He looks back to his dominant old form. He's really enjoying this Wade Phillips defense. And without him, no, you guys will not be nearly as good. Hold on to them for as long as you can, man. All right, next question is from Patrick Moats. It looks like the Titans have found their franchise quarterback, but do we have a franchise quarterback? Or running back, excuse me. No. But my thing is, though, do we need one? Okay, let's look at the past number of running backs that have won Super Bowls. Okay, the 2014 was who? LeGarrette Blount. The Seahawks, Marshawn Lynch. Okay. The year before that, the Baltimore Ravens won with Ray Rice. The year before that, the Giants won with Ahmad Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs. The year before that, the Packers won with James Starks. I don't think you need a great running back in order to be successful in this league. I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to have a bell cow that Marcus Mariota can hand the ball off to. But I think as long as you have a consistent run game, I don't think you need a franchise running back in order to do well. So the answer is no, but I don't think we need one. All right, next question. Andrew Smith says, what is your typical dream girl? Now, this is a sports channel, okay? So you can already know that she has to be into sports. And this is Dream Girl. Now, there has to be a preface made here that there's a dream girl we all have, and then there are certain expectations and requirements, really. Now, a dream girl is a dream girl. Like, this is like the absolute perfect God-made, like match made in heaven, fate, destiny girl for you. which I'm not a believer in destiny and fate, so I don't think I'll ever meet this girl. But if I do, you give props to me, all right? I'm going to make sure I hold on to her. But usually we end up settling for just requirements. So dream girl, this is absolute dream girl. This is what we're talking about. And I don't have a very strong female fan base anyway. Like, the YouTube gives you these analytics, and I think I only have 7% females. But if any of you guys fit this category, hey, feel free to holla. All right, so with that in mind, has to be into sports, man. I mean, this is just, if we could, because it's so difficult when, especially with me, because I'm a football junkie. From on Sundays, from when the games begin, which is like 12, until 10:30 at night, I'm watching football, and that's the end of the discussion. Like, there's no discussion to be had. And usually, girls that don't understand that, they're going to hate that, and there's going to be issues there. So, dream girl, she's into sports. From there, how can I describe this? Someone that shares my sense of humor. Now, usually YouTube people are pretty good with this, so I can get away with this. So, if any of you guys follow any of these comedians, like Dave Chappelle, Jerry Seinfeld, like these comedians that they push the line. I love the line being pushed. I don't even see the line, really. Like, the line is so far ahead of where other people have it. Like, unless if you're just up there talking about, I hate black people, down with black people, you can make me laugh about anything. Like, the most messed up jokes I will laugh at. So, someone that can share that sense of humor, because having a nice laugh every now and then, I think, is key. Someone that's down to earth, someone that I'm attracted to, that's obvious as well. Someone that has some sort of, some level of intelligence, because it's easier to hold a conversation about more, or not really, maybe not intelligence, but interest in things, because every now and then I can geek out and I'll just start talking about the Andromeda Galaxy, and you don't have to know what I'm talking about, but just at least have an interest in the conversation, because I'm going to be into it. So if you can at least appear to be into it while I'm talking about it, that would be cool. And I think that's enough. So there's my dream girl. If I ever find her, I'll make sure to hold on to her. Trending Titan 19 says, what's your opinion on this beef between Stephen A. Smith and Kevin Durant? Now, I do not understand why Kevin Durant hates the media. He hates the media, guys. I mean, this guy absolutely hates the media. What Stephen A. Smith reported, I'm sure he heard. He's not going to go on there and lie. He's too reputable for that. Kevin Durant, you don't know what's going on. You may want to believe that your circle would not blow the whistle and tell Stephen A. Smith something, but man, look, you can't trust the people around you. I don't care if it's your mom, your dad, your uncle. Those are the only guys you told you were going to LA. That will get out. It's unfortunate. That's the life you're living, man. That's the cost of doing business. So I'm sure that Stephen A. Smith's source was correct on this. But Kevin Durant, I don't know why he hates the media. It makes me kind of not like Kevin Durant as much, because they're just trying to do their jobs. Are they slimy? Hell yeah. They just want a story. But I'm not really a member of the media, but I'm kind of close, so I can relate to the media. Kevin Durant, stop hating on the media so damn much. But Stephen A. Smith, what was up with that threat? You don't want to make an enemy out of me. Damn, Stephen A. Sheesh. He used to be in the mob. All right, next question comes from Ware Kitten, who says, what is your opinion of the Cleveland Browns and their chances of winning the division, and what do you think of the decision of sitting Johnny Manziel? Now, Ware Kitten, you must be a Cleveland Browns fan, and I have to commend you for your loyalty, for your optimism, because the fact that you're even asking this question is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, your faith is absolutely, it's great. I appreciate that. I really do. There's no way. There's not a chance in the world. There's none. I really commend you for even having faith to even ask this question, but there's no way. I mean, when was the last time the Browns even won the division? 1998? I mean, I don't know. It's not going to be this year. You guys are already 3 games behind the Cincinnati Bengals. You guys have already lost games you shouldn't have lost. It's over. It's over. But really, what do I think about your decision of sitting Johnny Manziel? It's stupid. Because although Josh McCown can do something for you and may be serviceable, I guess, you need to worry about the future. And you need to find out right now if Johnny Manziel is the guy. You got to put him in there. You got to find out. I think that's what this year is for. This year is not for making the playoffs. This year is to find out is Johnny Manziel our quarterback? And if not, what will we do in 2016 to get a quarterback? Next question comes from Starkey Sharky, who asks, I know you were pretty young, I really was, but do you remember the Music City Miracle? If so, where were you and how was your reaction? So, I was really young. I think I was 3, maybe 4. I'm pretty sure that I was watching the game in some sort of capacity, and I was pretty excited. So I know that it's kind of hard to remember, but I remember everyone in the bar. No, it wasn't the bar. Everyone at home was pretty excited. So I was watching the game at home. I do know that. And what a great moment for this team. The best moment, really, for this team. Hopefully we can make some more memories in the near future. Next question comes from Enrique Lopez, who asks, in how many years can you imagine a possible, let's say, potential AFC matchup, championship game matchup, between the Titans and the Patriots? I've been thinking about this a little more than I should. It's a little exciting. But, this is the thing. Because the Tennessee Titans have what appears to be a quarterback that is great. Okay, he appears to be great. He appears as if he will be great. He's great now. As if he's great now, really. It could be pretty soon. Remember, Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck. If you're a great rookie, it doesn't matter how young you are. If you're great and you're young, you can get there. Especially in the AFC, where Peyton Manning's out of there next year. The Ravens will be back. The Steelers will be there. So it'll be difficult. But, man, here's the thing about the Tennessee Titans. They're not that bad at all. Like, if you actually know this team, and I'm assuming you do. But, okay, I'll assume you won't. There's not many needs on this team. Like, the people saying the Titans suck, they have no talent, they're idiots. You have 2 outside linebackers in Brian Orakpo and Derek Morgan. You have a Pro Bowl cornerback in Jason McCourty, a very good quarterback in Parrish Cox. The defense it's pretty stacked, honestly. The only needs they're going to have going forward is the free safety position, one of the inside linebacker positions, nose tackle, offensive center, maybe guard, and that's it. Those 5 positions are it, and those can be filled in the off-season. This off-season so easily. If you sprinkle a little free agency, you sprinkle a little draft, now all you need to do is sit back and wait for them to mature and grow up offensively, because the defense is already a veteran defense. Offensively, just wait for them to get better, and then they're going to be right there. So really, I could imagine it as early as 2017. I really do. Next question comes from Noah Rodriguez, who asks, there's a lot of Hispanics names. Do you think that Mariota will win a Super with the Titans in the future? Absolutely. Now it's very hard to say, really, but again, looking at the level of quarterback Marcus Mariota is, there's certain quarterback tiers. Like, you have the top tier, the middle tier, the lower tier, for example. There are young quarterbacks like a Bridgewater or a Derek Carr or Blake Bortles. Like, they're in that middle tier. Andy Dalton, they're in that middle tier. So those, you have no idea. Marcus Mariota, he already looks like a quarterback that is going to be in that upper tier. And right now, he's playing as if he's in that upper tier. And when you're in that upper tier, this is the upper tier, guys. Aaron Rodgers has a Super Bowl. Peyton Manning has a Super Bowl. Drew Brees has a Super Bowl. Tom Brady has a Super Bowl. When you're in that upper tier, Ben Roethlisberger has a Super Bowl. When you're in that upper tier, you're going to win Super Bowls. If you're at any moment one of your top 5 at your position, at the quarterback position, you probably have a ring or 2 or 4 in the case of Tom Brady. So, absolutely. This is what I believe. Okay. Isaac Obrist asks, what team does your roommate like? Well, my roommate is a San Francisco 49er fan. He's not very proud to be one right now, but he does like the San Francisco 49ers, and he's a pretty loyal fan at that. Next question, Mr. Blister27 asks, do you ever skip leg day? Unfortunately, yes. And I try to understand why there's such a negative connotation to leg day that makes you want to skip it, that makes you not want to like it. And I still haven't figured it out. With me, I don't know, if I'm busy one day and I'll have a leg day, I'm just like, just nah, man, like, it's important. It's very important. Now, if anyone's, watching this that was like, oh, he's skipping leg day, I'm going to skip leg day, I would advise against it. But, man, it's pretty easy to do. I wish I didn't, but occasionally I do. Like, I think once a month. Like, I try to have leg day at least once a week, okay? And I might skip it once a month. So, a little more than I would like, but not horrible. We still have a lot of questions to go through, but no, actually, we're nearing the end. Okay, good. O for Illy says, do you think Aaron Rodgers is an underachiever? For a guy that talented to have only one Super Bowl ring is disappointing. Besides, he's always injured. And how do you judge quarterbacks? You basing it off wins, big games, or who makes it look easy? All right, O for Illy. Well, I actually approached this last year. I said that Aaron Rodgers needs to win a Super Bowl now. I mean, it's time again. I understand the NFL, it's tough. It's hard to win Super Bowls. I get that. But Aaron Rodgers, you're the best, man, and you need to win multiple. So last year, I said, hey, Aaron Rodgers, if you don't win this year, I'm going to start raising an eyebrow, and I'm going to say, hey, someone needs to hold this guy accountable. Remember, this team went 15-1. In 2011, man, how did they not win the Super Bowl that year? Again, they lost to the 49ers a couple times. They lost to the Seahawks last year. I think he really needs to win the Super Bowl this year. I think he will. If he doesn't, again, my eyebrow will be raised. I'll be saying, Aaron Rodgers, man, where are the Super Bowls? You need to be producing more than this. You can't keep getting away on what you did 5 years ago. We need more Super Bowls now. The second part of this question, how do you judge quarterbacks? You basing it off wins, big games, or who makes it look easy? All right, I judge quarterbacks in a lot of ways. You asked in a couple ways, like basing off wins, big games, or who makes it look easy. So really, it's a combination of things, and each one of those holds merit. So, like a guy like Joe Flacco, not great statistically, but this guy shows up in